I write nice things sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Daniel, you were saying?
He went to the dentist.
Yes, yeah.
Let's see what it's like uninterrupted.
I feel like I'm just bearing witness to ADHD.
From Indianapolis, Indiana, this is Truth Egg.
So I went to the dentist today, and it was time. I was getting a cleaning. They said, well, you've been here, let me see. It looks like almost 2 years. So it's been almost 2 years since I had my last cleaning.
What is wrong with you?
I don't
Apparently
know.
dirty teeth.
Well, evidently nothing. Because,
Every 6 months, man. It's like,
well, that's what they say. So
no, it's not. It's
if you're a dentist,
Good
they say
God.
that.
So
just like I say, you should rebrand every 6 months.
I agree with that. You should.
That'd be good for me.
It would be great for me.
So I went in, and they took a look at my pearly whites, and you know what they said?
We don't need to see you.
They said they look great. Let's schedule you again in 6 months.
You do have nice teeth.
Yeah, thank you. I've always thought so, and it's one of my defining characteristics. So when people look at me, they notice a few things. They notice I'm really tall, perfect teeth.
That's about it.
Humble.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Tattoos.
They do notice the
Usually
tattoos.
those come out.
So the tattoos are very intimidating to women and children.
And new clients.
Clients never seem to care unless
New
they're
clients
women
could.
or children.
New clients, maybe.
Yeah.
Can we go back? Did they take x-rays?
Yeah, they took x-rays. They said you're probably due for x-rays because we do them every
6
time you
months.
come here.
Yeah.
Every year.
Every
at least.
2 years. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And-
Amy, how often do you go to the dentist? You go more than every 2 years.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I go on Thursdays.
Yeah. Standing date.
Yeah, I go
Yeah.
have a cup of coffee with my
6
dentist.
months, year,
Yeah. I go twice a year.
That's very
Yeah.
Twice a year
compliant.
for a cleaning.
I've
right?
never had a cavity in
Well,
my entire life.
You've never had a
What?
cavity?
Never had a cavity.
That pisses
Any
me off.
cavities?
Never.
That
Never,
does
not
pi-
once have
that
I ever
pisses
had to
me
have a
off.
cavity filled.
That really pisses me
Not
off.
not
Yeah.
to be a one-upper. I didn't go to the dentist for 20 years.
What the hell's wrong
Never
with
had a
you?
cavity.
See?
And now I do go every 6 months for the cleaning because once I found out that there's space between your teeth.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lived with
I'm
that
a
for
d-
42
I'm
years,
a-
but,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
that's a trade.
Yeah, but you have
You
beautiful
own
teeth.
it, and you have beautiful teeth.
Yeah,
Stop.
when I
So
I
did you
found
have
out
braces?
No,
No braces.
no braces.
No
No
cavities.
This is a
cavities. And
shameless
if you
look at
saw
her
my
looking.
oldest son, who has the most perfect teeth,
Mm-hmm.
he has never had braces either. Like not like my husband never had braces. Has
Yeah,
has
I've never had
perfect teeth.
braces.
There's some.
Yeah.
It's just we have superior genes.
Yeah.
There you
know?
go.
Mm-hmm.
It's good
That's
to
how
be
you
you.
can tell.
It's good to be you.
Honestly,
Yeah.
teeth is one of the first symbols or statuses of class.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I
those
didn't- you
ancestors
didn't know I
didn't
was
leave
doing
me
that
much, but I'll
Did you
take
have
the teeth.
more that you wanted to share about the dentist, or is that
Michael,
it?
you don't have to worry about
I
that.
just want.
Was there a lot of touching? Did you enjoy all the fingers in your mouth?
I thought there may have been more than what you were sharing.
Yeah, but I'm a yes and kind of guy, and I
Yeah,
like
I-
to go with the flow.
I've got
no,
to
you
get
don't.
that
You hate
improv
the flow.
coaching.
Go on. I've got
Okay, so I'm going to introduce my guest today. It's Amy Woodall, longtime friend, first-time caller. Amy has a company called Conscious Habit, and actually, one time, she actually was the makeup artist for a short film, a commercial that I filmed back in the day. Do you remember that?
Was I the makeup artist?
It's something like
Just
that.
go
Perhaps
with
a
it.
style
Just go with
consultant?
it.
Yeah,
You
maybe a
have-
Or the
style.
You have
Maybe.
worn many hats,
I
stylish hats, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were the style director or
Yeah,
something
I
like
think-
that. I don't know
think
what
it
the
was.
title
yes.
was.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
I remember we had to mix water and baby oil to mimic sweat
Yeah.
so that it could be read on camera. And so really it was like
Wow.
the style director of the shoot. Yeah.
Excellent. Practical effects. I
Yeah.
like
I
that.
thought you were going to tell us she was the makeup artist for the rock and roll band.
No,
No.
Okay.
not so much.
And was
anyway,
the commercial for eating at Chili's?
Heating and
well,
air.
it was eating good. It was heating good in the neighborhood. It was a company called. It's not a sponsor, just to be clear. Carrier.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, you've heard of them.
Small company.
Yeah. So yeah, we were doing a series of commercials for them, and I got a chance to work with Amy legitimately the rest of the time we were just in Rainmakers doing illegitimate work. And now what all is going on with you today?
You mean, where do I spend my time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great question.
Thanks for clarifying.
It is interesting when you look back and are like, what's the path? What's the career path that I've taken? Because I've had some different, seasons of life. I think every one of them have led to like teaching or, kind of lending expertise or wisdom in some way. And so Conscious Habits, the company, was started in 2019. I spent over a decade doing performance coaching in organizations. What I recognized is that most of the problems people would hire me to solve started in their minds, and they wanted us to put a nice, pretty Band-Aid on external things. And so I created this method called Conscious Habit that teaches people how to own their shit from the inside out. I don't know if there's we have to put a PG-13 warning on this now?
No.
Okay.
These guys drop F-bombs all day. See, there you go.
But that work of learning how really to seek internally what we're expecting the world to give us externally not only makes us live in a happier space within ourselves, which I know sounds very touchy-feely, but like everybody wants to be happy, healthy, and free.
Touched or felt.
Yeah, they do. And so, doing this work is deeply meaningful on the personal level, but it does create more lasting results externally too. So that's what I do. I'm speaking and coaching and training and hosting retreats and all of that fun stuff around the world.
So if somebody, first of all, none of that makes sense to me.
Great.
If somebody wants,
Says the marketing guy.
if somebody wants to hire one of us and they want to accomplish something that's very complicated and very important businessy things,
Of course.
which is of course what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
They first, most likely, they have to be prepared to do that thing mentally, to accept the advice that might come from, a very important, very businessy person, and you help them to get in a place where they're prepared to take action on what they want out of their life or out of their business.
I think the thing is we create the space for people to recognize the patterns that they create over and over again. You've probably never had a client that brought you in and said, you're the 5th marketing company we've ever worked with, and none of that shit ever worked before. And then you happen to maybe do work with them and they still were able to tear it apart. And the thing is, it's because their internal patterns are creating their external reality, and then they want to blame somebody else for it. And it is deeply personal work, but these are the things that get in the way of us being successful in business. So that's the thing. We get to dig in and figure out what are these patterns that are emerging for you.
I want to dig into that for a second.
Yeah.
That can't be easy to get them to open up. And I say them, it's the client, to share with you their most inner, whatever that is. It could be fear. It could be a number of things. Trauma, I suppose. It could be anything, right?
Yeah, I try not to touch trauma. That's beyond my pay grade. I have professionals I refer them to as soon as we touch that.
So how quickly can you get there on average with a client?
It's,
I know it depends.
Yeah,
Six
it really
to 12
does.
minutes.
Yeah,
Amy, yes.
Honestly, it really does depend. There are people who truly within minutes are like, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I've never told anybody that before. And some of that's just creating a safe. Now, this is going to sound very woo-woo, but like a safe, energetic space for people.
I hear that about you a lot, by the way.
The woo-woo?
That Amy is a safe space to share thought.
Okay.
I really do hear
Thank
this
you.
a lot.
Thank you.
It's a compliment.
Yeah,
it really
thank
is.
you. So I think it's that, but I think making it relatable, you can't force people to go there. There are people who have hired me thinking like, yes, I want this work, but really they just want somebody to tell them the same shit they already know, but they're unwilling to do anything about. So you have to really meet people. This has been true in all the training and coaching I've ever done, is people have to kind of be at this willing and able space.
Yeah.
If they're unwilling, there's nothing that we can teach them. But if they are, we all think of any habit you've ever changed in your life. We all have to get sick of our own shit in order to make change happen. And that's really when we meet people there, when they find us there, that's when we ripple effects of change truly
Perfect
take
example.
effect.
Perfect example. My Twitter bio used to be doesn't have a podcast. And now I have a podcast. I had to get over myself.
You're done.
Yeah.
What was that shift for
I had
you?
to
You're so
detach it
successful.
from my identity. My identity was wrapped up in not having a podcast.
I'll tell you what that shift was for him. I went to him and said, I want to start a podcast, and I think you would be great at it. And he's like, no. And I'm like,
Well,
think
I
about
knew
it.
I'd be great at it.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
He does believe that.
He
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Amy, so do you? I want to stay with this just for a second. So you're digging into a situation with someone or a company that typically won't expose or share that information. When you get the information you're looking for, do you is it 99% I'm in, or do you get that information and you're like, ooh, no, I'm not so sure this is right for us?
Well, here's the deal. The difference maker is if the CEO or the president of the company feels like you come in and teach this stuff, you need to fix my people.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, it was
Yeah.
nice. This meeting was lovely.
Yeah, it's so nice to meet
Yeah,
you. I'm
because
out of here.
a lot of the work we do is teaching people how to understand when it's their ego either making the decision, speaking, creating the problems, whatever. Like we really have to get people in touch with when it's their ego's voice versus their own voice. And so if they think it's a them problem, then there's not there's not a damn ounce of wisdom we can bring that's going to stick.
I really agree with that. I
do too.
I don't claim to do anything similar to what you do, but I know that
You couldn't.
of course not.
Yeah.
You really couldn't.
The talent here is so narrow for me. But when I'm working with a company and trying to help them get from A to B, it is not uncommon for them to talk about something else being the problem, when in fact it's not that leadership is the creator of the problem in every scenario, but that there is something that they have to do and probably let go of an assumption that they've been holding on to. I see it all the time. So do you just walk away from those opportunities where maybe a key leader doesn't see that they need to work on something, or do you have a way of breaking through that?
Yeah. Well, in some cases, it is maybe we decide to part as doing working with the group together, but there are individuals who say, I'm going to pay you out of my own pocket, or I'm going to figure out how to keep paying you to make this work, because they're willing to make the change. And so, yeah, if people are unwilling, like I said, there's not a whole lot of wisdom you can bring their way, because if they believe they're right, they are. The mind is, I just posted this the other day on LinkedIn, but all of life is a game of I Spy. Literally, all of life is a game of I Spy. So if I think you suck, guess what? It can be no other way.
Right.
If I think I suck, guess what? It can be no other way. If I think marketing can't be trusted, it can be no other way. Until I internally look at these belief systems that are driving my external outcomes and how I perceive the world around me, then it can be no other way. And so, yeah, if a leader isn't willing to look at that, it's very telling for the other leaders around them of, they are more connected to their ego than they are the greater good.
Yeah.
And you can serve your ego or the greater good, but it's hard to do both at the same time. And so,
What if your ego is the greater good?
well, that would be
It
your
can't be.
ego
That can't
convincing
be.
you
Yes.
that that is the case.
I think we have a great example that
I
we
think
can
you've
look
got
to.
a new client.
Isn't it interesting that we talk about clients in trying to help them see the issue before we address what they're asking for? Because everyone at this table, at this podcast, does exactly that. Not one person here says, yeah, bring your business over here. I want to take it on. We always ask, all of us ask the question, why are you coming to me? What's the issue where you were, or why are you trying to change services, right? And I find that fascinating, because that wasn't always the model. The model was, hey, I'll take the business. And now everyone's saying, not so fast.
Yeah.
Bad business is bad
business,
Yeah.
right? And we've all learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now we're forced to ask those questions and deal with those issues. It's fascinating. You want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I have a personal interest in cognitive biases, and particularly the identity protective cognitions, the things that we have to believe in order to continue to believe that we are, the world is, etc. And I'm wondering, how do you deal with people that have very firm biases about what the problem is? So, for example, in a therapy model, the presenting problem is not the problem. It's the what brings you here, and then they'll tell you a story about something that gives you a sense of where the problem is. So you're being invited in, you're being asked to be an agent of change, and like you said, you have a leader who wants you to change their people because they believe their people are the problem. How do you start poking at those biases and that resistance.
Yeah, tell us how to do your job.
Yeah, let me just give it all to you.
Yeah, please do, so that we can just have
if
AI
you could
take
in
over.
a conversation,
Yeah.
I'm less
Well-
impressed with what you do.
Here's what I would say. The first start, so we have a framework that has been developed, and it came from when I was doing this performance coaching, so working at Trust Point, we would do sales training was
Not
the
a
jam.
sponsor, by the way.
Not a sponsor. Yeah, we have to be clear. No one's paying you money.
Yet.
Yet.
Always
right?
add yet.
He's
Well,
never going
Hey,
to pay
Daniel,
us
let
money.
me offer a reframe. Let's just use the word yet at
Yeah.
the end of that.
Look at that. That's some cognitive. Yeah, I love that.
I like it.
So this framework was developed unknowingly when I was coaching leaders trying to help them solve problems. We would work internally. And then when I looked at like, what is the process I'm walking them through every single time? It was the first step was awareness, which is, what do you think the problem is? And then let's look at what is the story you are telling yourself about the problem? And can we begin to work through, getting rid of any of the emotional, addition that we're adding into this story? Could an opposite outcome be true? And you really start getting people to get connected to, what do you want? What do you desire? Something I ask every group, this happens in keynotes too, whether I've done keynotes in some pretty hyper masculine, last month I was in South Dakota.
I mean,
love
you're
the
basically at a
geography.
hyper masculine podcast.
Yeah,
so.
I see this.
Awful lot of grooming for hypermasculine.
Yeah, there's
No doubt.
I asked this group full of like blue collared men, what do you want to feel?
Oh, wow.
And what everyone always says, happy,
Yeah.
accomplished,
Yeah.
fulfilled, peaceful,
Respected.
respected.
I would expect powerful, but that takes a little more insight, I would think, to recognize that
It's
happy might be powerful
yeah.
for them.
When we get people to go there and then we ask them, is how you're looking at this getting you closer to that or further away? And now let's look at the mechanisms that you control. What do you control? And really beginning, you use the problem as the lens to start from, because we all think that if that problem would just be different, then we'll be happy.
Yeah.
But we also use that relatable story of, have you ever had a problem that you just thought, if this problem was fixed, I'll finally be happy? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, and were you? And they're like, no. No, what'd you do? Go find a new problem. That's right. So you get people to really see themselves in the relatability of their experience. And then you begin to kind of dial it back to, what is it they truly desire? And then what are the roadblocks that are getting in the way of that? I would say many people, I'm shocked how many people are open to it, but there's still, it's like that 80-20 rule, I think you got that 20% who are just determined to be miserable in life and make other people responsible for it.
Yeah.
And bless their hearts, they're going to keep doing that.
Gotta have them. Gotta
Well,
have them.
there's a sunken cost thing to your view of the world. It's really hard to just change it one day because it would require acknowledging that I've been wrong for so long. How can I trust my judgment today? It changes in faith is, I think, that transition is difficult.
Yeah.
I was so confident, and now I'm just confident in the opposite direction. How
Right.
can I be that confident?
That example you just gave rings so true on yet a more simpler format. People that have never been taught how to manage money think that all they need is more money. And they somehow, maybe they get more money, but they're in the same situation.
Yeah.
It just repeats itself over and over and over. The solution is never what they think it is.
This is what's interesting for anybody on, right? Look at the patterns of your life. And there's positive patterns of like what seems to always work out for you. Yeah. And what are negative patterns? Is it health? Like, oh, my health, there's always something wrong. I'm always achy. Is it relationships? Is it money? Is it business? Is it we can't ever find good people to hire? Like whatever you believe to be true, those are gifts of self-reflection of the patterns that we're likely creating over and over again.
Health is an interesting one because I know people that, so person A is mildly unhealthy because of some condition, and everything about that condition holds this person back, right? I can't because blank. And then person B is, has a significant health deficit and refuses to let it hold them back. And it's just interesting to see the difference between those types of people, because we all know probably somebody in each one of those categories that they have some kind of limitation. It either holds them back and it's their identity, like literally becomes, their limitation becomes their identity, or their limitation becomes, an inconvenience that they refuse to let get in the way of who
Yeah.
they want to be or who they believe themselves to be.
There's that adage of challenges do change us. They're meant to change us. Challenges are meant to shift our comfort zone.
Hopefully they do.
And I think the choice then is bitter or better, right? Like that's the adage that we
Right.
hear is like
Right.
I either use it as a reason to say, see, life sucks and life, like we either go more into our victim mentality, that outlook, and everyone else is the problem but us, or our situation is the problem, not us. Or we use it as a means to amplify our understanding about ourselves and of other people. We grow, the Grinch heart grows, and we
Pointed at me.
It's not lost on me that she
Three
pointed
times
right
in
at
some-
you.
some of
It's
the
like the
lives.
Grinch heart.
it allows us to understand the struggles of others more deeply, to have deeper compassion, empathy, all of that stuff can
Well,
come from
life
that.
is evolution, and evolution is change, right? I mean, so you're either on board with that from the word go, or if you decide to get off at any one point in time in your life, you're going to fight that fiercely, and I would argue negatively, not positively, in your life. You're stepping off to bitch, moan, gripe. It could be health, it could be business, it could be anything. But the moment you do that, that's the moment that train just keeps on going, life, and you're just stuck, and it's like, and that's where you come in.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the work. Yes, it is deeply personal work, but what's really great to see is we give them the tools that when they're stuck in the shit, because we're
Yeah.
all going to hit it.
Yeah, of course.
Right? That
Right.
they learn how to get to the part of better, not the bitter. They
Yeah.
learn new
Yeah.
perspectives and tools of how to manage those challenges that come at them from wherever. And then
pretty cool.
when we work with leadership teams as a collective, they learn how to do that without the finger pointing and blame. And somebody needs to be
Yeah.
the idiot, somebody needs to be the asshole. Without that
Yeah.
coming to
Yeah.
play.
So do you have 5 easy steps, or do you have?
I love how you dumb this down to 5 easy
I feel like
steps.
Daniel's getting into the coaching business.
Daniel wants to incorporate this in his next marketing
believe
platform.
pirating is
I've
the
got
word
5
that
easy
you're doing.
steps.
Interestingly enough, there are 5 core steps. I'm not even of the
Yes.
of the
You
framework.
knew it.
I got it.
It's much more complicated than sharing, but we teach a combination of awareness, ownership, and presence. And presence is self-regulation. If we're under stress, many of us don't know it, by the way. We could talk about stress. How do y'all know when you're stressed? What are your indicators?
I have a couple.
Never stressed. Lack of sleep.
Okay.
Okay. Wanting to pass it to somebody else.
Yeah, so I've got a couple.
Just kidding.
Waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning, thinking about what's keeping me awake. Usually it's work. The second is I'm on edge. I'm edgy, right? I can feel it. I'm not
Meaner to people.
not meaner,
Well,
just edgy.
I might
Snippier?
be a little bit harsher to another person.
Okay.
And then the person that takes the brunt of my angst, if you will, or my stress is Lori. So
That's because you don't have a dog.
I don't have a dog. but
Or
I have
kids.
a cat. And the cat doesn't
You can
want
blame
any
them
part-
for
the-
anything.
The cat wants no part of it. Cat's like, fuck you. I'm not
Yeah.
listening to you. I'm
Cat
not-
doesn't care.
So I'll
Cats
go
are
to
like,
Lori.
"Why do you live here?"
I'll point this out to Lori, and she'll be like, okay, just take a deep breath, take a step back. Why are you trying to stress me out? Just because you're stressed out. So that's when I know.
Okay.
Because the mirror.
Yes.
That's how I know.
That's helpful to
Yeah,
have that.
It really is. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
My spotlight of attention, which
that's
when it's good, stays in one place. When it's not, it scatters. And when it moves from creative to critical, that's generally when I'm dealing with stress. And ultimately, I realize I'm focusing on other people,
Right.
being critical of others, which
Right.
when I become aware of it, immediately shift it internally. So when I spend some time, too much time being internally critical and not in a constructive or creative way, that's generally when it picks up because that, I don't know if cynicism is the right word, but
We'll go with it.
the world
I
becomes
wouldn't look at it
shadowed.
that way.
Yeah. It's so the presence piece that we teach, this self-regulation, it's both getting your mind in this present moment, because we spend so much of our time in a future place and future troubles.
Yeah.
I have to tell clients all the time, why are we solving problems that aren't even here yet?
Thank
Why?
you.
Third order.
Why do we
Yeah.
enumerate on that
Why?
for
And
so long,
Yeah.
for so much time?
Or rumination in the past of shoulda, coulda, woulda, that sort of thing. So getting ourselves in the present. But also when we ask people to tap in of where's your stress, they go to the mind. And I always lovingly, the mind is a little bitch. It will find evidence in whatever direction you tell it to.
Yeah.
Your body knows first if it is stressed. The mind is the last to know. So that
Interesting.
that extra
not
energy.
surprised by that, but really interested. I'm not joking. Everybody's thinking I'm joking.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
Anyway.
dig in. Go ahead.
Well,
What's
you
your
just cut her
statement
off.
or
I mean, she was
question?
about
Well,
to-
okay. So what I was thinking about is I don't get road rage. I never get stressed on the road. And my wife does very much so. So somebody will cut her off or something else that's unruly, and she'll just be like pissed off. And I literally have to essentially do something that I never called this, but essentially meditate. Because in that moment, if I react, then I'm going to get mad. But I couldn't give two shits about somebody, cutting me off on the road because I'm just thinking they probably didn't see me.
It's
Yeah.
already
I love how
happened.
stoic that is of you.
It's over. And
It's really
yeah.
stoic.
And
I
I
don't know
love
if
you, woo woo, weird ass meditator. No, I'm
I
kidding.
know.
Because that is, yeah.
Yeah, this guy's a creep.
No, listen, as somebody who teaches meditation,
I
that's
wanna
my
know what
love
stresses
language.
You out. Well, how do you know your stressors?
Getting short with people,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's another one. I
Yeah,
guess that was my
that's my
first one.
biggest
Yeah, racing, I think my heart rate begins to shift. So there's subtleties in the body, if I'm breathing out of alignment. So I always encourage people, like, one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. If you take a deep breath in, which one's raising first? If it's your chest, you're shallow breathing, and shallow breathing sends a signal to our vagus nerve and to our nervous system that we're in danger. And if our body believes we're in danger, our thinking becomes like threat oriented. So our thinking then is like, everything is wrong. Let me find all the things that are wrong. So being able to regulate our nervous system is such an important part of us being able to see the truth as it is, or seeing reality as it is, so we don't get squeezed up into that, fight or flight.
Have you
thinking.
read The Body Keeps the Score?
I have. It's a great book.
Yeah, I liked it. I've heard that some of the science has been debunked, but I think the point that the book is making is still sound regardless, because I think you're right. Our body knows when we're stressed before we ever are aware of it.
I agree with that. I think it was 10 or 12 years ago, I was doing some massive training for cycling for a big race, long distance, like 100 plus miles. And I was really into it. And I remember there was one specific moment when I was training. I was on an epic ride with some friends, and my heart was racing, and I panicked because I was at the limit, or I thought I was at the limit. And I'll never forget it. There's like this calmness that came over me, and my mind was saying, just relax. This is nothing. Just breathe. Even though you're sucking in as much air, you feel like you're ready to just go out. And I'll be damned if it didn't work. And there was a whole nother level, a whole nother threshold of pain and endurance to be, and you know this from your practice as well. But that was an amazing moment, because then I realized there's so much more there, right? And not just in cycling, but I mean in life. There was just this moment of awakening that, I'm not maxed out.
So you're saying you're able to handle so much more if you're able to.
The mind came
get
into
past
play.
that
Yeah,
fear.
the mind came into play in terms of just calm down, breathe, relax. Even though you're stressed out physically, your neuromuscular body is saying enough, but your mind, she is a crazy bitch, comes into play, and it's like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
There's more here. And I had no idea.
You can get yourself into flow state. The next part of that
I do like flow
five-part
state.
steps, by the way,
Big fan.
is subtracting the ego story. So we
yeah.
have people. We've developed an assessment based on Jungian principles, which, if you're familiar with DISC or PI or whatever, like those are Jungian principles. And for people to understand what are the things that get the bitch in the attic and me fighting.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to see. So if we can begin to see like what hooks the ego, and ego is hooked when we are in defensive thinking, because ego's created to protect us.
Yeah.
So when we are in judgment of self or others, when we are in over criticism, when we are in rumination,
Ego is
ego
threatened.
has hijacked us. And there are ways for us to be able to learn how to subtract that so that we can bring higher wisdom to the table.
Which begs the question, do we need our ego?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
We
do,
need
right?
it to live.
Yeah, right. Thank
We
you.
need it to live. I think
Right.
it's a matter of, is it in the driver's seat or the passenger seat?
So there's a balance, you're saying.
There's
Mine's
a balance.
in wherever it belongs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine's in the
Said
right
the
place.
egomaniac.
Yeah.
Mine's in the right place. I love it.
I think there's a quote by Marianne Williamson, who is a woo-woo spiritual teacher. Don't look her up.
And a former
He-
presidential candidate.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is the weirdest thing about her.
Yeah. But the quote was, "Under ego's guise, we seek but we do not find."
Oh, yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
ego just keeps us kind of
Yeah. Keep
Sounds,
searching.
moving.
sounds
Yeah.
made up to me.
Can you
Yeah.
go back to what before Daniel rudely interrupted you? You
Yeah.
were talking about the mind is a crazy bitch.
Yes.
And you were about to make a point, and I don't know what you were about to say. Can you go back to that? Do you remember where
and if
you were
not,
with
just
that?
make something up.
Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, that's good too.
Expert at,
Yeah, right.
at that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where we were going, but I think I was saying that if we're stressed, it can have us convinced of anything. Because
you
I've
go.
sat across from clients coaching them, and here's what's really interesting: is you all probably have practices that make you feel sane, right?
Oh, yeah.
like
For sure.
whatever
S-
your
sane?
sanity practices are, where you're like,
Sure.
Daniel's
Yeah.
hanging out with us. That's how we
some
feel
people,
safe.
it's more natural to them. Some of us, it's exercise,
Yeah,
it's
right,
prayer,
right.
it's
All
meditation,
the
it's
above.
hanging out with friends, whatever.
Strangling people.
Strangling people, whatever your
Stop
jam
it.
is,
Choking 'em
know.
out.
But when clients kind of fall off of doing the things that they know are good for them, inevitably when we sit down and say, like, check in, it's like, oh, I'm over this company, I'm ready to sell it, I can't handle this like they're, the threshold for stress is so incredibly high. And it's very telling. They know they're stressed then, but there's telltale signs along the way where I can tell in their body they are stressed based on just like how they're even,
Yeah.
their body language, the shift, the tonality, like
Yep.
can tell you that they're stressed. But they go to their mind and they're like, no, actually, I think everything's okay. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, the pitch in their voice as it rises. I'm fine.
By the time your mind knows, we are really at a stressed state. So having those practices for nervous system regulation are important.
So I want to take this conversation a little bit broader than our work.
Yes.
Because one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot is the way that everything about the world is the way we believe it is. And we might be totally misguided in our conclusions. In fact, the odds are we all are. Just ask Aaron.
Well,
me. Not
and
me.
To her point about Jungian, one of my favorite points about his is that we have no access to the truth because of our perception, our interpretation, our storage, our recall. In that process, by the time we are having conscious thought about reality, it is so far removed from what is real that now you're working in that weird shadow space.
Let me talk about the extreme on this really quick. So there's people are to some degree studying, LSD, psilocybin, all this stuff. And when you go on a trip, something I've never experienced, you will be fully convinced of some experience that you're having. And one really interesting question is, who's to say how different that is from the exact experience we're having on any given day? In either case, our mind is telling us something and we're convinced of it. And maybe that what we're convinced of shifts over time based on additional experience. But again, whether it's with the aiding of a drug or just the drug of life, we're convinced the world is a certain way. So how do you think about like the way that people view politics, or what's something that you think of when you think of that whole topic of the world is what we think it is?
Well, I think there's a lot of ego involved in a lot of that. I think the ego shows up a lot in religion. It
One of
shows
my
up a
favorite
lot.
drugs, by the way.
Yeah. Ego is your favorite drug.
Love it.
I think it shows up a lot in religion. It shows up a lot in politics. It shows up in places where we're overly certain that this is the way. And the more fearful we are, the more we control. And so, of course, we're fearful that the world might live in a way that's not according to our plan. I say this often, but I am the best version of myself when life is going according to my plan. You know?
Really?
Really,
Shocking.
I'm a very conscious human.
That's
Keep us
amazing.
updated
That
on your
works like
plan.
that.
Which, by the way, can work in both directions. So long as you're confident this is my plan,
Yeah.
then you can feel great about it.
Yeah. So I think there's ways to control, and the more certain we are and the greater our expectations are that things have to be a certain way in order for that to be true, the more likely we live in misery because we're living in this even more made up reality in our mind. And so I think a practice, I love Stoicism. I introduce Stoicism, especially to a lot of the men that I coach, because it's not, it has a good like masculine.
Dudes love it.
Dudes love Stoicism. It's Rome.
Daniel does.
Right? It's
Look
it's
it
the
up.
Roman Empire that
Daniel's
they're
getting
Well, and it
obsessed with.
gets
But
to be me-centered.
It-
That's the best part about it. Is
Yeah.
I am the source of everything, which is very helpful to the people around you. So you stop focusing
There's a
on
lot
them.
of extreme ownership in that. And the ownership that we're teaching is like the only thing you can control in life is how you think, feel, and respond. And I think for us to bring curiosity to that and to never be too certain that our way is the right way is incredibly helpful for us to be a more flexible, open, growth-minded human being. We've all met people who are very fixed-minded, right? So that book Mindset by Carol Dweck that talks about fixed versus growth mindset. The people who are fixed minded are overly certain that their way is the way, very ego driven, and they're always pissed. And if we look at politics right now, there's a lot of people who are pissed, and we could argue rightfully so, depending on which side that we agree with. I have very strong opinions. It can hook my ego really fast if I read the comments. I'll be like, "You mother," But I think it's also helpful to step back and just be like, "Well, we all want the same thing." Like I can, how do I see the spirit of like who that person is and not get blinded by the ego that shows up?
Yeah, it's the shield, right? It's so politics, religion, the two biggest shields that most people stand by or stand with. The shield goes in front. This is my belief. This is the way I think. Therefore, if you don't think the same way, you can't be with me, or I don't want to be with you. The piece that you said that I think is more true is that my way may not be the right way, but it is my way. And my way, if we can, and what I mean by that, it's not this or that. It's that I find peace in this walk that I'm on. I'm not trying to fight with anyone. I'm not trying to say you're wrong or I'm right, or conversely the opposite. But I am saying that I have peace within myself, and I can move daily on both sides of that and find good, not argumentative, not bad, not ickiness. But I don't have to agree with you in my way to say you're wrong or right. I can respect, and I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That I can find the respect in your thought process. And boy, wouldn't it be a better place if we could do that with everybody?
Yeah.
I think it would. Go
Well,
ahead.
and I'll add, we had a guest some months ago, John Arnold.
Oh,
yeah. That was, he was
Big
great.
friend of mine. I'm a big fan of his. He's
guy.
one of the most reasonable people I know, and I mean that in the active sense of applying logic and reason to solve problems. What he hates about arguing with me is that my position on reason is it's a very powerful tool that can rarely be applied.
Yeah.
Because reason requires perfect information.
And there is no perfect information.
Well, and that kind of goes back
Yeah.
to the we don't have access to reality because of how we perceive it, etc. But one of the things that was introduced to me that resolved a lot of that anxiety was stop worrying about is this true and start reflecting on is this working for me.
There you go.
And one of the first things that was obvious with is my love of my wife and the love of my children. I think they're the most amazing people.
What about us?
the love
What
of your
happened to us?
co-hosts
Your
on a
co-hosts. Well, I
podcast?
thought we
or
were-
I
Family.
enjoy your company.
Okay.
But realizing that my belief that my children are special and deserving of love, and that my wife is the only woman that I ever want to have in my life as a partner, maybe not reasonable, but it works so well for the relationship, for my role as a parent, for
Yeah.
being willing to look at my children and go, you owe me nothing because you didn't ask to be here.
Let me ask you a question about that, Aaron.
Yeah, go ahead.
Serious question.
Serious
Go ahead.
question.
Do you believe, I think I know the answer to this, in
know where you're
soulmates? And then does your wife believe in soulmates?
I
knew you
feel
were
like we
going
might
there.
have talked about
I
this.
knew this.
Did we
was
talk
coming.
about this?
No.
Well, so
Indirectly.
I can tell you why. So me, no.
Her, yes.
What I learned very early on, and this actually came from a much smarter friend, but once he pointed it out,
Smarter than Daniel?
it was obvious. No, smarter than me.
I would doubt smarter than me.
I didn't
but-
mean to point at you with a strong finger.
I thought that's what you were saying. Go on.
He pointed out, I was very lucky in love as a younger man, and he pointed out that he could have great relationships with lots of different people because history had shown that he had very good.
Yeah.
And I agreed. So I never believed in soulmates of the one and only, and also soulmates tended to accidentally grow up around each other and just happen to be at the same job during the age of
Well,
all
that's
that.
how soul mating works. just so
However,
you know.
however, my perspective on soulmates was a predestined thing. Amy,
The religious context of predestination or something else?
yeah,
Okay.
providence perhaps.
Okay, yeah.
But now that I'm older, a much more useful belief, so useful that it has become a truth, is that soulmates are more about the alignment of the people, which can be created, can be formed.
Okay.
Now, does she like my position on it? Absolutely not.
She hates it.
But does she believe in soulmates herself?
She does.
She does.
In the-
she
yeah.
she thinks that
course
from
she
the
does.
moment she met me, I was the person that
Yeah.
she has been waiting for.
Like magic. Well, that's how I felt about you when I met you. I was like,
Right.
he is perfect for Amy. I don't even know who
By
Amy
the way,
is,
weirdly,
but she's going to love
weirdly, I get that a lot,
Oh,
and I don't
God.
get it. I don't see it. But what I believe is that there is no other person in the world more perfect for me than her. And a lot of that is the investment and what we have gone through.
Sure.
I'll just leave it at that.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else when he brought up the kids, because this great article I read this morning talked about the investment that you put into your children as a parent, and that you get no return. Or do you get a return on that investment, Daniel?
Not generally. So,
I was going to say, I hope, what
As I look
hope-
at Amy over there, like Amy's like, of course you
Amy's
do it. Daniel's
also
like,
le-
not so much.
Let me
Amy's
answer
also
for
let some
Daniel
kids go.
as
Yeah.
me. What I
This'll be
hope
good.
for is to have a relationship with the adults that we help
think
create.
that's
oh, it sounds like you didn't read the end of my article.
I did. It was wonderful. I didn't cry, but you know,
you're a tough guy.
I'm a passionate man.
He's a stoic.
Stoicism. Yes.
But they owe me nothing, and it makes it a lot easier to not be resentful about all the unappreciated work that
Yeah.
goes
I'm-
into it.
Do you want to respond to that before I change to the topic? real quick?
Because you have adult children, so you are
Well, yeah,
a
just
decade beyond.
so the
where I'm
listener
at.
knows, this week I became or started the process of becoming an empty nester again.
Second time.
Second time around, both kids came back for the summer, different reasons. And long story short, both are leaving the same 7-day period of time to go to graduate school.
They're breaking your hearts all over again.
Yeah,
those
that's
dirty,
right.
rotten bastards.
And so we're both thrilled and heartbroken at the same time. But before we get too far beyond this topic, Amy, do you believe in soulmates, and does your husband believe in soulmates?
So I have done some of those experiences where, you know, you have a shaman that introduces and you have some really very spiritual experiences, right?
Yep.
And so I did have an experience where there was some things shown to me that was like, oh, damn, okay. Was very clear in my own experience that nothing is random and that there is a lot of things that kind of line up in ways that our ego likes to think we're in control of. And it was an incredibly eye-opening. I'm sure in my younger years I would have been like, there is soulmates, but I am more on the Aaron, you know, I'm more with you of like, I think they're created. I think it's through like hard work and agreement and coming back together
Water
and
flowing
learning
over
and
rocks over time.
yeah, learning to grow and like go move through
Softening.
challenges together that we get to choose that with ourselves, but it's also work that we do together.
But it's great if you start with that because it gives you a lot more energy to do the work to make it real. Because a lot of people believe that and then one day decide that, well, this must not be the person
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm not happy.
Yeah, 30 years
And,
later.
well, and your
Yeah.
husband, how does he feel?
I think he would agree. He believes in like it was like love at first sight. Like he's like,
Oh.
I think I knew.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
immediately.
No, I
so,
do agree
So
with
I think
that.
he would attribute soulmates to more that. I don't know that he would like agree that.
Okay.
You know.
So I heard one thing, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago that helped me to process this topic, which is that if you have a guitar on one side of the room and another guitar on the other side of the room, and you pluck a chord when they're tuned perfectly, when they're tuned to the exact same, tuning setting, the corresponding chord will vibrate on the other guitar from from a distance.
Right.
And so what that
Perfect harmony.
Yeah, and so what that tells me is that everything in this world, whether it be through wind and atoms and all these things that are moving around, we're just swimming in this soup of mass, is connected in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be something that can be unpacked with science. It may be something that can be unpacked with some kind of spiritual viewpoint. But there's a connection, and it seems to be objectively there, even if we don't understand all of the components
do you
of it.
believe in soulmates?
No, not at all.
Okay. And I'm not taking this personally,
But I do-
you never
but I-
asked, and I'm not answering.
I
it.
do believe
so
in
we're just
resonance.
moving
It's like,
on.
and now-
No.
You
It's
don't
all
wanna
right.
know.
Michael,
I don't
listen,
No,
Michael,
no,
you
it's
are
okay.
special to
I know,
him, and
I
that
know.
needs to be enough.
No, exactly. I want to go back to what's real. You and I were going back and forth on a group text, the three of us, this morning on the framing of what's real or what's real in our life. And I really thought about that. And what I came back from after thinking through that process is that I don't really pay a lot of attention to social media anymore. I don't listen to the news at all.
Oh, you must feel so much better.
I
Yeah.
feel amazing until I read your article this morning, and then I heard this. I read this thing about nationalizing the police, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? I mean, I'm really out of it. So I sit down at the office, and Jen walks in. I'm like, hey, what's going on with this police nationalization thing?
Yeah.
She's like, what are you talking about? I said, Daniel wrote this article, and I've stayed away from the news. And she's like, oh, he's talking about fill in the blank. I'm like, oh my God, thank God I don't pay attention to this crap anymore. And so we fast forward to right here, right now. This is my real, right? This is every moment of every day, the people that are in front of me, that's what I really genuinely care about. Whether it's a client or family or friendship, that's what's most important. And Jennifer said to me this morning, you must feel really good. And I said, I feel great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I really do
Yeah.
feel good. I don't feel the weight or the angst or the woe is me that's coming over.
It's because it's not being assigned to you. You've
Yeah.
cut yourself
Yeah,
off
yeah.
from the source of
The
the mental
board.
illness.
You've helped me with that, by the way. I mean, because you've pushed the button by saying, "Is it really real?"
Well, or just what's the payoff,
Right.
I think is a
Right.
better.
Right.
Now, Daniel, I was going to
Sorry.
bring up, I've had a frame for quite a while about the purpose of media is to spread disinformation and ultimately infect mental illness on people.
Yeah.
So for a while there, I would play the game Where's the Lie? And as you pointed out before, it's very easy to find off the bat, effortlessly. Well, there's the lie. There's the misinformation. But something happened in a conversation this week that completely changed that frame. And it was remembering the smartest person I've ever met, Dr. Marty Stussy.
Who's the second? Never mind.
John
I don't
Arnold.
want to.
It's
John
a
Arnold.
tied
I
for
don't
third. She was brilliant. She was also a science fiction author, which immediately made me adore her. And one of the most intimidating intellectual people I had ever interacted with. Like I often feel wrong, but I rarely just feel dumb. But she was lovely. And at the beginning of the Old Testament course, this was my first class in seminary. I was not a believer. I was there for a counseling program. And you are required to take 2 years of theology.
Well, you love God. Just move on.
Yeah, I mean, but I was there. Anyways,
Which one?
she said, yeah, well, obviously the one true one.
The only one.
I would agree.
Oh, that's a whole nother.
All the
podcast.
others,
Go on,
all the
go
others
on.
are fake.
Yeah, right. Go on.
The very first day, she was kind of outlining how we were approaching the processing of the Old or First Testament, as they called it. And she said, what I don't want to hear is anybody arguing over the meaning of a word. that this word, justice versus righteousness or this or that. She goes, first of all, none of you have access to the word as it is. Turns out she had been working on not the Dead Sea Scrolls, but the thing they found after that was even older, doing the original translation of the Hebrew word.
She was involved in this process.
She was
wow.
part. Yeah,
Was she suggesting?
That's a heavy hitter.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's like the more I learned about it, I was like, oh my God.
Was she suggesting get to the concept, not the actual physical word?
Thanks for stepping on that. Let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
So
I do that often. Sorry.
So she said, what I want you to be asking and what I want to hear from you is not is this true, but why are we telling this story?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of the story, and why was it so important that it needed to be repeated over generations, so much so that at first opportunity to record it and store it, it was so important. Like the idea of just publishing a book 30 years ago was a massive thing, and now any of us can do it online today. Yeah. And then the best part of that was she read what she had been working on was beginning of Genesis. And man, I tear up every time I tell the story, and I won't try to repeat it, but the way she told the story of the formation and creation of man and woman was so completely different from everything I had ever read or believed. We talk about like the inequity of fundamental religion. Very different story. Man was not lonely. Man was incomplete. Man was unfinished, and woman was created as a shield to the spear. And it was a hiccup there, but also I'm tearing up. Yeah. But it was such a beautiful example, and one of the first ones of even what you think is true is not true because of how it's being processed, interpreted, etc. And that goes into that framing. So I think about with media, to wrap it up.
Well, you were talking about a conversation this week.
That happened, that I was listening to somebody and they were saying all the things that I would expect from someone who consumed the sources they did. And in my mind, I'm like, well, that's not true, or I could argue that. And then I stopped and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Their feelings about this are very true. And that's the thing that as a human, I should be respecting, acknowledging, and not pitying, but empathizing with. And also it then clicked. It's like, I wonder why that story's being told or sold in that case. Yeah. So my point being, it's much less cynical to wonder when somebody's telling me a belief, a framework, why is it so important that they keep telling that story? Not is it true, because the moment I try to challenge your belief, right, now we're fighting.
Right. It's now it's confrontational.
And even if I give you a way out, that's like still one, it's an ego thing, right? Because I have the truth.
Yeah.
My truth is bigger than, it's a truth pissing contest.
There's a simple question that I use this framework for myself, but encourage other people to use, which is what's missing. So if we're witnessing something that hooks our buttons, it hooks us. Like where we're like, oh, this person's drinking the motherfucking Kool-Aid, and we, whatever it is, or it's at work. Like you can put it in any context. Whatever is missing is what we're called to bring if we truly want to be conscious. And so if what is missing is understanding, bring it. If what is missing is compassion, because there's what's the opposite of anger? Like love and compassion. How do we bring what's missing so that we can create the outcome we desire? We're not waiting for that person to shift to our line of thinking in order to get that within ourselves.
Boy, man, it's so massive. It's so simple.
What's
and yet
missing?
It could be so massive, right? I mean, if everyone took the time to just a minute out of your day to think like that.
Well, I want to honor what you said too of like just holding the space. I mean, here's the thing that we know. This is it sounds a little woo, but can you guys feel a vibe?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been able to walk in and be like, this is good energy, bad energy?
That resonance when Daniel was talking about the guitars is what I identified.
No matter, I've asked this to, very like scientific groups too, like heart surgeons, like raise your hand if you can feel a vibe or energetic vibe. And we don't have language to it, but we raise our hand. We say, we know it's true, which means the resonance that's happening within us at any given state. We are either, when we walk into a room, making it better or worse just by the vibration we're bringing in. Yeah. And so I think very simply, if we do just control what we can, because we have access to so much damn information, it's overwhelming. We can see the starvation happening. We can see, inhumanity happening, and it can feel really overwhelming. But if we just focus on the space we're holding, the present place that we are, and we bring the best energy we can to that, there is a ripple effect of good.
totally
because
agree with that.
literally everything is energy. All of
we're
life
just
is
spreading it. We're
energetic.
just spreading it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me bring up one more subject.
We have to go to empath on that conversation, but we're coming back to that
Okay,
because the
okay.
empaths have a hard time with what you just said. Go on.
I can't.
I live with
can't
one.
wait. I can't wait for that. All right,
Stop it.
I'm going to
Go
bring
on.
up one more thing. So I want to talk about the way we understand the world, not based on agreeing or disagreeing on things because we see it a certain way. That's to put it bluntly, delusional. I'm not trying to say that.
No, I
to be,
agree. All of us.
All
this
life
It's
is
all
delusion.
manufactured.
So we've talked about that, but let's set that part aside and think of the world that we all experience, that, people that live in the same community or whatever, that we all experience, that we see differently based on framing. So today, my wife was talking about this medication she's considering switching to from one to another. And she says, I read that 13% of the people that take it get acne. And I said, that's great. That means 87% don't.
Right.
So you're in great shape.
Yeah.
And of course, she laughed and told
Glass
me to get
half
the
full,
fuck out of the
glass
house.
half empty.
So
You asshole.
I was on my way out the door.
Don't fix
Leave
my
and don't
problem.
come home.
But anyway, so and that's the way I'm thinking about this idea of framing. Is there are things that we all more or less agree that is happening, is a present factor in our life, but we're looking at it through these different lenses with a different set of facts, not wrong facts, but a different set of facts. And I think I want Aaron to talk about that, because you have a lot to say about. You were talking about this news story or whatever that people were talking about.
Software engineers.
Go on that.
Well, this might be it's an example of what you said, and I was talking to someone about it today, and it's just fascinated me. I had not read the article, but the entry was about a large-scale study done of software engineers, and only 48% of software engineers reported using AI as part of their development process.
Yeah, you talked about this the last time.
Yes.
And I think I cut it out.
Oh, good.
And my
Good.
brain immediately said, "Oh, so half of software engineers lie about using AI because everyone I've ever known has been using it quite a while, and in different ways." And the article ended up being about competency perceptions and how people who openly admitted to using AI as part of their engineering work were seen as less competent, independent of the quality of work.
Yeah.
And that, to your point about the 13 versus 87, yeah. It's
Do the math.
Yeah, it's obviously not a software engineer. Hey, ChatGPT.
It's 87 plus 13. 100.
But how you frame that is a completely different problem, because in this case, the multi-million-dollar investment in AI coding that the company had built up over years, they were like, well, clearly this is a failure because less than half of our engineers are using it. And after the fact, the analysis was, oh crap, everybody might have been using it,
Right.
but because of our culture, they have to lie about it.
Yeah.
So there's a framing piece, which look at the second and third order effects, because I think I also mentioned that women were most penalized
Yes.
because they were overly criticized for competence.
Yeah.
So they used it even less,
And then
and
they were
as a result,
criticized.
their quality of work was lower than
'Cause
the
they
people
didn't have that
using
extra tool,
because
yeah.
they weren't using that multiplier.
Yeah.
Because of the social criticism, and obviously the biases. And it's like, well, all of a sudden we've got a culture problem that's turned into an equity problem that's turned into, and it just compounds.
So the process for being self-reflective in that, by the way, the self-fulfilling prophecy wheel, or the wheel of insanity, is our beliefs influence our judgments motivate our action or our inaction.
Absolutely.
Those actions and or inaction create our results, and our results will reconfirm our thinking if we do nothing different. And so a lot of times I think we believe that, like, I just have to believe differently in order to make change. And really the truth is we have to be able to catch our judgments. We have to be able to say, when we're dealing with an issue, and especially if it's an issue like that, to say, what are the automatic judgments I have about this? Do I assume somebody's less competent? Do we assume somebody's less competent? Why? Is that true? How do we know that it's true?
And is it Aaron?
Yeah, and is it Aaron Douglas?
It can be.
And
In most cases, for 87%
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
studies have found that it's Aaron.
Yeah.
87% of
Internal
studies have
polling
found.
says 75% of people think I'm less competent.
I thought you were going to say 87% of dentists to really bring it back to.
Oh,
that was before,
look at that.
That was before we started recording. But
His
but I think
ego.
the thing to really break down is that judgment piece, and then to begin to do a pattern interrupt, ask the opposite. So Byron Katie has this framework called The Work, which is a questioning strategy you can go through when you catch yourself in rumination or an automatic judgment, which is like, is it true? How do we know that it's true? What evidence do we prove that's true? Like, it really forces you to count the ways instead of getting caught up in your automatic bias. And then once you get more clarity there, to ask yourself, if the opposite were true, how would we act instead? How would we interact with these people? What expectations would be put out there? And new actions create new outcomes. New outcomes rewire our thinking in that subconscious.
Yeah, George
frame of mind.
Costanza solved this problem a long time ago.
Why do you think some individuals are capable? I'm going to point to this one because he is.
Pointing
The
to
tall,
Daniel.
handsome one.
Why? I'm not as good as Daniel, but I think I'm somewhat like
You guys
this.
just keep feeding his ego.
Oh,
he
it's just-
loves
I
it.
know,
No
it's
wonder
awesome.
he
I'm
said
fine.
yes
I
to
don't-
this
It's
podcast.
like overinflating a tire.
How
The
much did he
catastrophe
pay
is going to
you?
be brilliant.
Why can some people find the middle ground in all situations, in all arguments, all conflict, and not take a side and be okay with it, versus others that come into the conversation and adamantly, from the word go, take a side?
It
Where-
is their
where-
hardwiring.
It is
is
their
their hardwiring.
hardwiring. Yeah,
it is.
has to be, right?
95% of our life, our subconscious and unconscious mind are running the show.
Yeah.
So those patterns that are deeply ingrained within our body,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, our body, our subconscious mind, a lot of it lives within our body. If you've ever driven yourself home from work and go, how the hell did I get here? It's because the
Just
body
that
can do
auto-
something the mind doesn't have to be
Yeah.
consciously involved in. And so it is, a lot of it is our hardwiring. And some people just, whether it's their upbringing, whether it was adaptability for how they were raised, it could be Daniel has 22 siblings. It could be that he watched the behavior of his siblings and was like, this is my way of being safe in the world.
Yeah.
And that creates our kind of personality and outlook.
I have a.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have an answer to that. That's a different answer.
I'd like to
It doesn't.
hear that,
It doesn't
because I want to
dispute.
address that. Go ahead.
So, so I was, for most of my life, I would say, let's say 35 years or 32 years, somewhere around there, I was a very ideological person. I believed a certain thing, and you couldn't budge me from that belief. Some people still think that I'm that way,
Sure.
but I'm not. So
And they're wrong.
They don't know me.
I have
They have not worked
I
with you.
I very strongly know that they're incorrect.
Yeah.
So, but I've talked about on the podcast my departure from faith, and when I went through that process, I intentionally taught myself. No, I didn't consciously realize this was what I was doing from the very beginning, but to look at everything from a side that I don't agree with, specifically that I don't agree with, and that created this pattern, this exercise of exercising my brain in a totally different way.
Right.
It was different than I'd ever done in my life. And then I started to question everything, develop a different matrix for how I arrived at what I believed, right?
So
Rewired
you
new
rewired his hardwiring.
new neural patterns. So
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
and the thing is, what we're doing when we're learning, it's not like this is cut off at any certain age. It's just a matter of when, and
Yeah.
typically an experience is going to like bust something open, right? Something happened, or maybe it was like a culmination of things. And then we really start to look at our judgments differently. We start to look at our belief systems, our judgments, those actions. That all starts to really come into, it
Yes,
becomes
yes.
very apparent. And then with repeated action, we rewire our subconscious, and now it becomes our new
That
normal.
makes perfect sense to me.
20 years ago, I had a karate instructor who, unrelated, later became a crackhead. But he gave me the
He got
best.
hardwired.
But
rewired.
He gave me the best advice about hardwiring was practice makes perfect, so be careful what you practice.
Yeah.
And having done 25 years of different martial arts and particularly like judo and jujitsu, that grappling, I learned for 15 years, learned habits that have taken me 4 years just to start unraveling
Yeah.
because of how ineffective they are in a context. And it's so much harder to unlearn
It is.
a practiced habit. It's easier if you have a new habit to replace it with, but if all
Always.
you're trying to do, like smoking, I smoked a pack a day for 20 years. Not smoking is the hardest thing to do
Yeah.
because, and I imagine that's true with any addiction, is like there has to be more to life than just not getting high.
I didn't know you smoked a pack a day for 20 years.
Yeah, started when I was 15,
Wow.
16.
Wow.
So when I met you, you were you were smoking when I met you.
On and off at that point. I didn't like stop
Did
until
Bill Beat
we
know
had
you were
pregnancy.
smoking? Were you smoking when you had deep
You know
ripples?
what? No one ever knew I smoked.
I was
I was
a
gonna
closeted
say,
smoker
were
too
you
for
really?
many
I
years.
And by the
still
way,
am.
and when they
Yeah.
found out, it was that same reaction, like, what?
Yeah, people would be like, "What do you mean? I can't believe
I'm
this."
shocked.
I think
Yeah,
smoking's fun.
I think about
you
smoking
still
every
smoke?
day still.
Huh?
Do you still smoke?
Yeah,
Not
occasionally.
cigars. I mean cigarettes.
I smoke cigars.
Oh, well,
My
But-
80-year-old grandma
but I can
smoked
smoke a
for 30
cigarette if I
years.
need to.
I want to go back to this real quick. I have found that I find more peace trying to be in the middle to understand where you're coming from. I may think you're batshit crazy,
Yeah.
and I may walk away from the conversation still thinking that. I think one of the reasons you and I became friends so quickly so many years ago is because there was always that I want to learn more. I want to know more about you. I still may think you're wrong or you're right, but I want to find. I don't know. I just want to find the middle. I want to stay in the middle to understand it. I want to understand you better.
Can I
is what
tell
I'm
you
trying to
something
say.
about you?
Yeah. Oh boy.
I do not need to know anything about you.
Oh.
I can look at you, and for one physical reason,
Here comes the love.
I can tell you two things.
Oh boy.
That you are less susceptible. You are less susceptible to media influence, and you are very unsusceptible to hypnosis.
Unsusceptible to hypnosis.
That's not the right word, but
Okay.
you are not a good candidate for hypnosis.
Wow.
The under eye crinkle
Oh, you've talked
is
about this
a
before.
genetic indication of skepticism. Well, not
You
so much
said that.
genetic, but the older you get, the
Yeah,
more
yeah,
it
yeah.
gets
You've
kind of
talked about this.
permanently put in. Just like the forehead wrinkles
Yeah, yeah.
signals
All of
curiosity.
which I don't have. I don't
You
have
do.
a single wrinkle.
You actually.
I don't
you
have
I
a-
just assumed it.
I don't believe that I do.
I assume the puffiness is from
What's that
alcohol.
bulge coming out of your forehead right now?
Yeah. No, I still don't believe it.
When I learned that trick, and it's funny, there's like a
I
handful
forgot
of
about
tricks.
that.
That little
You said
trick
that.
has been so consistent that when I see that under eye crinkle, I know I can have a more nuanced conversation with somebody about either a shared interest or even conflicted.
So do you find that you're more vulnerable to someone to be more open with someone if you see that physical trait?
No, and it's not something that I look for.
Okay.
Because it's not. It's
I was just
it's
curious.
a
'cause
practice
you-
habit.
Yeah, I got it.
But
okay.
but I learned it in the context of this was something somebody identified, worked with a group of stage hypnotists.
I remember you
and
talking
he
about
said,
that.
I want you to use this one criteria to pick your people, and I want you to tell me what your success rate of putting them under hypnosis.
Hmm.
And they came back about a year and a half later, and they said 100%.
Wow. Let's go to empaths. Because you work with empaths. I know you do. Speaking from personal experience. How do you help empaths who ultimately say, I feel everything, right? They can't do what we're talking about, or they choose not to want to get rewired or hardwired.
Help us by defining that really quick.
I'll let Amy do this because she's great at this.
An empath would be somebody who feels the feelings of others strongly. And I mean, it's multi-layered. I mean, I once heard an expert say that we are empathic as a way to avoid reflecting on our own suffering, that it's easier to feel the emotions of others than to reflect on our own. So I think that's something to consider of like,
I like
is
that.
me taking on the weight of the world a way of me creatively avoiding my own shit?
Yeah.
You know, there's that. But I think the other thing is not to be afraid of our feelings. Like feelings aren't the enemy. We're going to feel sadness and sorrow, and we're going to feel like shit at times, and we're going to feel joy and happiness, but learning how to have a practice of meeting it without getting the mind involved, because the body needs to feel. I don't know if you guys know that feelings are meant to be felt. They're not meant to be thought.
Oh,
What a wild,
darn.
what a
Wow.
wild
Yeah.
concept that feelings are meant to be felt.
I think
And
that's
so
in the Webster Dictionary.
holding space to just like breathe with whatever's coming through. The key then is to have enough awareness and presence in the mind that we don't let the bitch in the attic get involved and create a story with whatever we're feeling. Because that's when we get into rumination. That's when we need to have them, they're bad and I'm good. And that's when like the ego really gets hijacked. When we have a practice for that, then all the things that we're experiencing, it does what it needs to. Like I had a coach tell me that emotions are like energy in motion. They're meant to like give it space to be felt. It's going to leave. It's going to process the way it's meant to. And then you can move on. We don't always have to go through some psychosomatic piece, you know, for it to meet it. Now, maybe trauma that's stuck in the body, like, yes, that's different. That's out of my pay grade. The other thing for empaths, there's 2 additional things I would encourage them to do. Have a really good meditation or breathwork practice. If meditation is not your thing, just having a good breathwork practice, because somatics are real. Like we do, if we're not feeling the emotions, they do get trapped somewhere in the body. Even more than the body keeps the score, there's additional, you know, data that's been in science that's been shown to say that like if it's not felt, our issues are in our tissues, basically.
Yep.
So I think breath work can be really helpful for that. Lastly, this is a little more on the woo side, not as much scientific, but
Daniel, turn your headphones off.
just we don't need your skepticism. Okay.
You see the wrinkle in my
It
eyes.
just showed up.
Having a practice where we either do a protection of our energy, we're just sort of like, I'm not taking on anybody's energy today. We make that, you know, whatever that looks like. I had an energy healer. See, you guys want to name a number? I'll let you know what it is,
pass
Daniel.
it along.
Yeah, I'll pass it along.
I think I know.
I'll check it out.
I think I know the name and number.
Schedule an energy session. But she was saying, like, you really, throughout your day, especially when you feel your energy waning, to close your eyes and do a catch and release where you're like going through your day and imagining everybody you interacted with. I'll do this after. I will definitely get rid of your guys' energy after. No offense, but it's just not mine. And I will close my eyes and imagine sending energy back to you that I might have taken on. And then I recall my own energy in the places I might have left it. And whether that
It's
is
all because of you, Daniel.
Yeah, whether that is
I've really messed it up.
psychosomatic or whether there is, you know, some connection to that energy, I think it can help us.
It's sort of irrelevant which of the
Whatever.
two.
If it works, then
If it's helpful,
if it's helpful, it doesn't matter.
valuable.
Then I think it also helps us be very attuned with like what is my energy versus somebody
So
else's.
even if the energy is good, you take away good energy. The process you just described, you release it,
Yeah.
kick it back,
Yep.
and reclaim yours.
Yeah, I think there is no greater good. I mean, our own energy is the greatest we can hold on to, you know, and
Got it.
to call our
That's
wholeness
interesting.
back
Yeah,
to us.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what we're
yeah,
doing,
yeah.
reclaiming our
So
wholeness.
some would argue that it's better to receive energy, good energy, and hold on to it. But you're saying the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, it's a give and receive. Like that's
Yeah,
sort of like
yeah, yeah,
cyclical.
yeah,
If all
yeah.
things are energy, even
Yeah.
like take money. Money is energetic. Of like we don't get to keep it and hold on to it. We get it. We get
Yeah.
to spend it back in a good way.
Sure,
like all
sure,
of life is
sure.
sort of this cycle
The give and
of
take.
give and take. And you know,
That's fascinating. I've never heard it put that way. I like it. Go
And
ahead.
what is it? The law of entropy. It was actually water that I realized this. There is no new water. Water it's all been here, and it all goes through that cycle. Money was the second thing that was introduced. Is that it's not a thing to have. The worst thing you can do is just have money.
Yeah,
it needs to
yeah.
be doing something.
Right, right.
And then to your point, that energy. When it gets pent up, it means that you're not spending it. You're
Yeah.
not applying it.
yes, yeah.
And it can come across as really woo, but man, it's a useful belief.
It is that signal that where our body is in stress is like there's better ways to spend this energy.
We're
you
not,
know,
what is it? We're not, I can't remember what the first part is, but we're human beings.
not human doings.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
And as the resident skeptic in the room, I would say that whether this phenomenon is something that's part of the material world, or it is woo-woo, or somewhere in between, I would say it is basically irrelevant because it's all an experience we're having in our mind, real or not, and it has a result.
Yeah. And magic is science not yet understood.
Exactly.
I'm going to launch a new T-shirt line. I'm serious about this. It came to me the other night. I heard something, and I love this. Be great, and if you can't be great to be around.
That's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words.
The words will be great,
Just be great. That's
or
yeah.
be great to be around. That will
Great
be the
ending
t-shirt.
to a podcast.
I know, I thought so too. It's great timing, right?
All right.
Before we go, though, Amy, how can people find you if they want to reach out?
LinkedIn is where I hang out the most. We also have the Conscious Habit podcast, which is wherever you find podcasts, same
And-
place that you're listening to
yeah.
this. And then the website is theconscioushabit.com.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Daniel, if people want to find you, where do they find you?
They can just look on the internet. I'm everywhere. So we've never actually disclosed our
we're
own.
doing it. So,
Yeah,
where can people find you, Dan?
First place I'd look is in the show notes. Second place I would look is danielkherndon.com, where I publish the Lorem Ipsum every Friday. It's a funny email about serious topics. And then at hrndn.com or herndon.com for my branding agency. And Michael, what about you?
Everyone can find me at colored-threads.com.
I thought it was colored-threads.
Would you stop with the minus? It's killing me. Aaron,
And the hyphen is spelled out.
Aaron, where can everyone find you?
You can usually find me at home or at Naptown BJJ.
Or the lake. Aaron.
You can find me on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, that's
Aaron
awesome.
Douglas AI, I think, is the ending of that.
He'll be tagged in one of my posts.
Amy, you made our podcast so much better. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
thanks for being here.
You're the best.
All right, everybody have a great one.
Cheers. That was